Welcome back to Africa This Morning. We are now on Table Talk. As a man thinketh, so is he. That was a quote from the Bible. And today is Motivational Monday. We are going to be taking on the discussion on the power of the mind. Joining me to discuss this is Mwangi, a motivational speaker and an author. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Welcome to Ooro Africa. Today we are discussing the power of the mind. You're an author. We'll discuss your books a bit later on in the discussion. There's something that you discovered about society that made you realize that there's a gap in our progress and our growth. That is our recognition of the challenges that we have going around in our heads, which is our minds and our souls. Mm-hmm. At what point did you discover that for yourself?
Well, I could say that I discovered that when I was a student in the university, mm-hmm. because my first time to go for leadership position is when I was a student mm-hmm. in Mwangi University, the School of Business. Mm-hmm. And I decided to become a student leader. I vied. I got votes mm-hmm. to make me a leader. Mm-hmm. And that day, it never became because there was a strike to stop just some arrangements. Then I saw a gap in leadership. And I said that that day, the students went on strike because I had not become the chairman. So I stopped them by telling them that I wasn't looking for the seat to become a leader, but I was looking for the seat because I am a leader. So it hit me that you first become a leader to seek the seat. So I saw there's a gap in leadership, and mostly because we are not inspired. We are not inspired in our minds to think positively about issues. Mm-hmm. And had I not been positive, I could have said, let the strike go on. But I had the power to stop it.
I love the interesting breakdown of events. You said you decided that you were going to lead, yes. Then you got votes yes. to confirm that decision that you want to be a leader in the institution of Mwangi University.
Yes.
When you're looking at those you were expecting to lead, because you have gotten to, at that point you had gotten to a level where you understood what your mind is all about. It's a powerful tool. It can create and change your scenario. When you're looking at the rest of us who would be considered common mananchi, what are some of the mistakes we're making when it comes to how we envision ourselves, our lives, our professions, our growth, that has led you to know we need to focus on what you're thinking about? Someone wise once told me, think about what you're thinking about. Not everything that crosses the fence of your mind is actually worth meditating over. Share with us what are some of the ways you've seen people make mistakes when it comes to crossing to the next level of graduation.
Well, what I would say is that I've made observations on my life and other people's life as a motivational speaker and also as a writer. And what I've noticed is that most of us believe that our problems are external. That's the first mistake we make, you know. And I usually give an example. If I pick two people for marketing my product, assuming it's my book, and I give them 10 copies each, one lady goes, if they are ladies, if one lady goes and sells all the books, and the other one goes and sells nothing, comes back with the 10 books, the other one comes back with nothing and money. This lady who comes back with money will say, give me more books because everybody wants the books. This lady who sells nothing will say, nobody wants the books. So which is the truth? Which is the truth statement? So both statements are true, but it is the individuals. It is the internal climate that determine even how the world around you runs. So basically what I'm saying is that it must change from here inside. The problem is that we are trying to change things from outside, and what I would like to say is that I would like to liken life with a projector. You know?
Yeah.
A projector is that machine which you use to project images, maybe on the wall or the screen. So if you will only see what you're projecting. So if your projector is out of focus, that image will be out of focus. You understand?
Yeah.
So if you're trying to tackle life without changing here, the images you see there will be out of focus.
So if you're out of focus in your strategies, the results will totally be out of focus.
Good. And that is why they say if your imagination is out of focus, it is very difficult to focus with your eyes. So the problem is here inside. And what I try to say that it is a personal problem.
Out of focus. There are
Yes.
times they say out of focus could be linked to biting more than you can chew. It could be linked to some of the challenges you've experienced as a child. What are some of the instances? Maybe you can break it down for us so that we understand what the environment of out of focus looks like. So that we know how we can pick the little pieces of the broken mirror and put it back together. How does out of focus look like?
Well, you're going to that point now where you're saying that maybe your childhood biting more than you. Why are you biting more than you can chew?
Because you want to achieve greatness.
It all starts, you see now, it all starts here.
Yeah.
Why are you biting more than you can chew? You see, the problem is not with that there is much to be beaten. No, okay? It's all here. Why does an MP who has a salary of 1.2 million go out and steal public fund? It is not because there is money to be stolen. No. You don't steal to become a thief. You steal because you are a thief. You are a thief. Even if you are caught before you steal, you are still a thief. You are already a thief.
The seed of who you are is actually now coming into fruition. Yeah.
So that it is a personal problem. So if we are not able to deal with who we are at the core, why do we do what we do? We do what we do because that is what we are. Okay? Yeah. So my attitude, it's all here. And I tell people, and this is what I believe, that attitude is like spectacles. If your spectacles are dusty, you will not see things clear. You will be thinking things are dusty.
And you'll be assuming that everyone actually sees things the way you do.
Yes. But you see, the problem is you. It's not people, it's not issues, it's you. So if we are able to deal with the self part, we can impact more in this world. I pick the argument of one guy called Paulo Coelho. He says that everything evolved, but gold evolved farthest. Okay, I don't know the truth about that, but I wish to make it something I can think about, because if everything evolved, even wood evolved, even plastic evolved, and gold evolved farthest. Okay, meaning that gold was able to shed away all its impurities to become the most scarce and the most searched for.
And the most pure.
He challenges us to purify ourselves also, not to see gold, as a board of contention for us, but as a mark of evolution.
And excellence.
So that all of us must get into a continuous state of mind and character evolution. Are we evolving? Am I evolving? Beryl, are you evolving? Are you evolving? And the challenge is not what you don't know. It is what you know. You'll be shocked to know that most of your challenges are here with you today, not because of what you don't know. It's because of what you know.
Before we go into that, because that's another thicket in itself.
Yes.
Evolving. How do we get to that point where we discipline ourselves to evolve? What are some of the routines we need to take up, routines we need to let go of, so that evolving our mind and recreating, for lack of a better phrase, recreating the environment of our mind is always anew every morning? What do we need to do so that we don't get stuck in a rut?
Well, it is an integrated thing. Okay, you must be able to first see from the inside to the outside, and then there must be something you want to be. It is very hard for somebody without a vision to evolve, because why are you evolving? You are evolving to be like what you are not, and you can only be what you are not by doing what you are not able to do. Until you are able to see the invisible, you can never do the impossible. We call things impossible because, one, we cannot see them, okay? But the moment you're able to see what you can't see, you can do what you can't do. And therefore, if I'm driving from Marsabit to Nairobi, at some point, not even at some point, even at my takeoff, I'm not able to see Nairobi. You see? I'll be driving all the way saying I'm going to Nairobi, but I can't see Nairobi. But I have Nairobi in my mind. It's in my mind.
The determination is there.
Yes, it is. I already have a destination. So every move I'm making because of my destination. Okay? There's a turn I would take and feel, this is not Nairobi that I'm going. You would see the way you're going and see. If your car has GPRS, you can be able to see, I'm not going to that direction. That's about evolution now. Is there something you want to become, the end thing? How would it look like when it is done? If you don't have image in your mind, like myself as a motivational speaker, how would I like it to look like when it is done? For example, I have a dream that one day I will be able to speak before a congregation of presidents. You see? Maybe in Geneva one day, one afternoon.
That is a dream that was shared by Maya Angelou. She wanted to do that. Yeah.
And she achieved it?
Yes, she did eventually.
Oh, yes.
About 2 months before she passed on.
I will achieve it.
Yeah.
You see, now I see it. So that one helps me also even in choosing how do I dress, where do I buy my clothes, okay, what book do I read, because they only did that because of what their mind was. Then I can only be able to do that if I get a piece of their mind. So if there's something you want to be, look, were there people who did it? How did they think? Because nobody was born thinking great and others born thinking small. I will give you an example. There were some tourists who toured a certain village. There's a story given by John Mason. He says that they went and found a man, an old man, and asked this man, was there any great man born in this village? The man was old enough but said, I've never heard. But he said, no, the president and the prime minister come from this village. Don't you know? Are you sure you come from? He said, yes. But he said, no, in this village, there has never been born a great man. Everybody is born a baby. So the process of becoming is your challenge. And that is why even the Bible, because I believe in the Bible calls us human beings. Have you ever asked yourself why we are called human beings?
No, I haven't. I'll have to admit.
Good. We are called human beings because we are in a continuous state of being. It is present, continuous. I am Joe Mwangi being. I am being.
The being is what you have to determine for yourself.
Well, yeah, that is the point. So if you become our president one day, you will not become our president the day we vote for you. You are already the president who will be. Because
the determination starts years before. And I think that's the gap right there. The fact that we never see, we never know how to invest in the years before the reality. We never know, even worse still, we never know how to believe in the vision before it becomes. Because this space of impossibility, as you mentioned, is where people get lost.
Yes.
I love the fact that you've given us a tip. Dress for your vision.
Yes, dress for your vision.
Claim the vision before it's there.
Yes.
Another tip that maybe I would believe you would want to confirm, the people who you hang around with, who are around you, who speak into your life, have to echo your vision, or else you have to set them aside. What are some of the other aspects that you would give us as tips, either to adopt or avoid, if we're going to keep our mind on the right track?
Well, I can pick inspiration from creation. If you read the Bible in Genesis 1:26, there's something very inspiring. God said, let us make man. He defined what he wants. He also said he will be like this, definition. Okay? So he knew what he wants. So when we don't know what we want, and most people don't know exactly what they want, they cannot say, this is what I want. They cannot point out. But they think that their life is controlled by fate. And that is what is given as a warning in all the books I was reading. That the biggest lie in the world is what most people believe in. Most people are believers in the world's biggest lie. And this lie is the belief that at some point in our life, we lose control of things and our lives are controlled by fate. And
isn't it a bit true?
It is not true. Let me tell you something. You can see a lorry drive from Kisumu, come to Nairobi, go to Mombasa, come back to Marsabit, come back to Kerugoya, okay? And then when at Nyeri, it hits a person. That lorry has been able to pass about 3 million people. Why does it hit this one person? Could there be something in this one person that attracts the lorry to them? Is it a happening that had first happened in the mind, then it happens in the reality? That is true. Let me tell you, you attract what you have in your mind. If you cannot define what your mind has, the issues that you have not defined will begin to happen to you. And if you define them, they will also happen to you.
What space do you give for God's actions or the unexplainable activities in society, which we sometimes link to fate? What? How much space can we include in that?
Good. I'm getting the place of God. God is a very unique being. God, today, you dress the way you did because you are inspired by your mind to do so. So there's a point at which God does not interfere with your space.
Yeah.
Like
the free will quota.
Like the free will quota. You can choose what you want. Like even if you talked about those who believe in the Christian faith, that if you don't believe in God, you're going to burn in hell. And where the Bible says maybe before you I put life and death, choose. Imagine you are the one to choose, so you can choose whether to die or to live. If I took a rope today and hung myself, did God kill me? Would you say God knew I would kill myself? These are things that are left to us to decide.
God might have known you would have killed yourself, but you took the action yourself.
Let me tell you, we are unique beings. We are actually gods. We have the power to use our mind to create. And you know, God created man in the 6th day so that man can continue with creation. That is why God rested in the 7th day, so that we have our biggest part to play in changing our mind. And why does the Bible say, as a man thinketh? You start by saying, as a man thinketh. In his own mind, so is he. So that
create your reality already in your mind.
What I'm thinking in my mind will soon become my reality. Because those are the images are formed. They will attract the resources. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
Because if I have a positive mind, then one day I'm going to become, one day I will do, one day I will be, I will begin to attract that to myself. When I saw that I would write a book, I imagined, I began to see the book in the bookshelf. It formed, it precipitated around that.
And everything that will link to that reality, that vision becoming a reality, starts presenting itself. There are other aspects that trap our success in our reach for our greatness, which is baggage.
Yes.
The past.
Yes.
Whenever, in a good case scenario, you're raised knowing that you have a vision.
Yes.
Worst case scenario, you're 40 and you have to start the journey at that point, changing the way you think, changing the people you're sticking around with, changing the way you dress, changing how you live, how you eat, depending on the vision that you're trying to create. How possible is it to avoid the hurdles that come with lapses from the past, baggage from the past, and all those traps that come with remembering what I was and what I did before?
Well, that's a good question. Let me start by saying the most disadvantaged people are the people that were brought up in good families, to say economically stable families. Because they usually see that the past was better than the present. And they suffer from a mental condition called the backsliders blues.
The good old days issues.
Oh, the good old days.
Yeah.
They are not able to let go. So that somebody born in Lavington may never launch in life. Okay? Because they have a lot to lose. Me born in Kagumo village, I have all to gain. They have a lot not to lose. Me have all to gain. So my forward is blank.
Your determination
I'm determined.
is tougher and sterner and more fierce.
Yes. Them, they would wish to maintain a status quo. That is why you find most of them will attend international nursery school, international primary school, international secondary school, international university, and never even lead a circle. Okay? But right from Karatina village, I will be able to lead the biggest microfinance, the biggest bank. Looking even at James Mwangi, you can tell. Why? It is because of the mind, how you preset the mind. It's about mindsets. And if myself, when I went to Njiri school, I had the same problem of mindset. When I landed there, I went to class with boys who had come from very big private schools in this country. And one boy called me a mshamba. Okay? And then I had the pocket money of about 100 shillings. And then boys could be able to have 20,000, 10,000 as pocket money. They would eat bread I'm not eating. So it formed in my mind. I began to despise what I was. Until somebody came and talked to us that you can design yourself the way you want people to define you. You can design yourself. You have not been designed. It is you to design yourself.
You have to be an active agent in creating your future.
Create yourself. That is it. When God created us, He left us to create ourselves. I went to do the course I did because I wanted to create myself into what I am becoming, what I want to become. So you can never say it's a responsibility of God or your parent or the past. But if you hold so much to the past, it will hold you from reaching the future. And that is when you suffer from fear, the fear of the unknown, the fear of losing a name, the fear of this, the fear of so many things. But fear is nothing but a feeling. It's just a feeling brought by the expectation of danger. You are thinking that if I go this way, this may not.
That is worth defining again. Fear is the feeling that is brought about by the expectation
of danger.
Expectation.
It
It's
is
not like
danger.
A confirmation. It's an expectation
You're
of
just
danger.
expecting danger. Yeah, and that fear is what keeps many people from doing what they would have done many years before. And you find people, they are 60 years, they are 50, they have never even implemented. It's a small thing. The courage to get started. That is what most of us like, because we are thinking that we already have we have really done so much. How can I lose it? Like today, maybe I've worked as a motivational speaker now for 3 years. I've written 2 books and I'm thinking I've done too much, then I don't want to lose too much. What have I gained not to lose? When we begin to see what you have done is great, we are probably doing nothing. That is was said by Shakespeare.
Is there a point that you can say it's ever too late for one to start recreating their scenario at 50? Can one start over?
Now, Beryl, I am very sure that you have heard about people who have lived 220 years. So if you are 50, you're not even halfway. So if you have, it's only that we have already put life expectancy for ourselves.
Based on some of the UN
Some
reports
people
that
say
it's
the
70,
UN
so you put yourself
report,
at 70.
You already even are preparing to die. Okay? So if you went to 100 years and you are now 50, you are just halfway and you have only worked for 25 years. Remember, you started working at 25. So what will you do with the other 50 years? Will you just sit around and say how the past was good, you know, when I was there? You know, old people don't, they have already retired. And all they are doing is tell people how the past was.
Is it the fault of the old people? Is it society? We've actually inserted it in the mind of the older generation that your time is done.
Now look at Charles Njonjo. That guy is 90 and above. He is fresh and has new ideas. He is still putting up new businesses. What can you say about that? And somebody who is only 55 and they are preparing for their retire. Retiring is a personal thing. When you see issues from, most of us have lived in self-contained houses now, to the point of we becoming self-contained. When we cannot be able to see that we are supposed to be agents of change to other people, that what is our big purpose in life? It is to affect the next other person, to sparkle light in other people's minds and hearts. And the age is not a factor unless you want to die before you die. It's all in the mind. It's all in the mind. So if it's never too late to create yourself, you can always recreate yourself and affect people's lives. I've met a guy who speaks and he is 76 years old and he speaks very well. At the end of that meeting, you're thinking, wow. I think I've been doing nothing. Why? And he is 76. And the hope of life, you can see it in his eyes. Why do people look so old at 54? It's because they started preparing to get old. And so they got old.
I like the insertion that you've put there, confirming that even with reports from expert organizations that have indicated the life expectancy of Africans, oh my goodness, is at 40. So if you read it and adopt it as your story, then it becomes your story. I think personal decision to be greater than what you see is something that we are supposed to work on at this point. We'll go to your book.
Yes.
Why most boys are not becoming men. There's someone who is throwing a stone at you right now from the screen. So just elaborate further what this book is about, why you wrote it, what inspired you to write it, and what change you envision.
Well, thank you. In this book, why most boys are not becoming men, people are asking me, are you sure that most boys are not becoming men? This book is supposed to create a public debate. That is why I wrote this book, to create a public debate. When I went to work for the Standard Chartered Bank in the year 2008 up to 2009, there was something I saw. In the consumer banking department, there were about 11 managers together with team leaders. 9 of them were ladies. Okay?
Yeah.
Back in 1970s, to get a woman working for a bank was very difficult.
Yeah.
Today, almost 70% of the people working for banks are women. That is not why I wrote the book, but it also provoked me to think on that line. Could we be swept out of the institution slowly? Because today where you mostly find men is at the door, guarding the women to work inside, with a rungu, with a fimbo. And what I'm trying to say is that there's a challenge in becoming men. Because,
you said something interesting earlier on. It's men are not unable to accept the reality of independent women. It's just that they have not been prepared to deal with that reality.
Yes.
How will this book help that reality triggered in the mind of men in Kenya, in Africa?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a challenge in dealing with reality. And one of the realities is that women have become empowered. There's this notion that, men, kitambo, long time ago, men, those are just stories. They say that the patriarchal setting of the traditional man and all that. Let me tell you, my grandfather's dad, or my father's grandfather, had about 6 wives working for him in his shabas and bringing food to him. So not that the traditional man did so much. It's only that today he has to do so much, that is why he is getting confused. Not that the traditional one did too much. You understand? I'm not against men. I'm only saying that there's something we need to correct here. Okay? Yeah. And our women are going to school, they are getting so focused. If you go to any shopping center in Kenya today, okay, and I want to believe most parts of Africa, it is, you see a woman, if you see a woman, she is either going home, selling, or buying. 3 things. It is very hard for you to see a woman standing and doing nothing, when it's very normal to see men just standing outside somebody's shop and doing nothing. Discuss the vehicle that passes there, discusses the motorbike that passes there, and then goes on.
Politics?
Politics, which they will never even, they are not even, the only time they participate in politics is when they vote for the wrong leader. Because really do they vote for the right one?
So we totally blame men in Africa for the leaders we have.
Let me tell you, it's a big challenge.
Yeah.
It's a big challenge. And we cannot say that we are going to be silent. Why I was motivated to write this book is because of my role model, Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah.
He said that the world is not a bad place. The world is not a bad place because of the noise of the bad people, but because of the silence of the good people. When the good people are silent, the world is a bad place to live in. What I'm doing my part, sweeping my front. Because if you want to sweep the whole world, you don't buy a big broom. Tell everybody to sweep their front. I have lost about 4 of my classmates, because of drugs. On Saturday, you saw that policeman who was on TV, on our stations, because he was a policeman. Today, he is just a drug addict, not in a job. He is sleeping in the same bed he slept when he was a boy in his mother's house. The same bed he slept when he was in class 3. After getting married and going to the forces and taking drugs, he has come back to the same bed. Has he become a man? And so what is becoming a man? It is about choosing to do the right thing. It's not about beard. It's not about size. I have this challenge to men. Being a man is not having beards. It's not about drinking too much. It's not about buying vehicles and driving them too fast and putting big radios on them. No. It is being able to be a source of hope to other people, That is the first thing about being a man.
And owning up to a responsibility that is actually God-given. The fact that you are leaders in the home and also are supposed to be leaders in society.
Yes.
That's touching on time to focus on the boy child. We cannot afford to lose him. We need to invest in the boy child. How are you working with other organizations or even institutions to echo, as you put it, I love that statement, sweeping your front, to just ensure that this is a message that is echoed through, not only in your front, but in other people's fronts, parents taking up that responsibility as well?
Yeah, well, in the year 2012, in the year 2012, I did something out of the norm. I appointed myself to become the boy child ambassador in Africa. Okay? And I tell people, if nobody appoints you, appoint yourself. And last year, I went to one of the biggest meetings and I was not invited. If you're not invited, invite yourself.
Would they consider that gate crashing?
No.
Isn't that something else altogether?
In this life, in this life, if you want to leave a lasting mark, you can only do that by doing something that you initiated yourself. Like our Professor Wangari Maathai. She was not appointed by the president to start Greenbelt. No. It is something she gave birth to out of her thinking and mind. So when I did that, I started going out to schools, institutions, meetings, and with time, it has become a real thing. I'm able to work with organizations that deal with men's issues and even with women issues, because all of us are involved in this. And I've been able to mentor boys' schools like Alliance High School, Nakuru High School, Utumishi Academy, Anasta Boys, and schools all over, Chavakali High School. I've been able to go to these schools, I've been able to meet boys, I've been able to talk to their parents, also because most parents practice what I call guesswork parenting. Most parents...
They say that no one is an expert parent.
Let me tell you, those are just things they do to comfort their ignorance. You can learn to parent. If you must be taught to ride a bicycle, why must you not be taught to parent a child? Why do you want to use guesswork? If those people use scientific calculators, they know that if you touch 3 buttons that are supposed to be sign buttons, it will give you syntax error. If you don't know how to parent your child, you just press every button, you will form a syntax error. Because one day I spoke in Alliance High School. I talked to the Form 3 parents. One parent came and asked me, "Young man, you're 26 years old. How comes you can speak to parents?" I told him, it is so easy. If I look into the eyes of your son, inside I see your confusion. Yes, inside, because children never parent themselves, they are parented by somebody. So if you see them confused, it is like the proverb which says, ugali utoka kwa unga. That's Kiswahili. That you can only make ugali from unga. So if ugali is bitter, don't blame the ugali. Look at the expiry date of the unga. So most parents supposed to be professionals, they're supposed to know so much, but let me tell you, there's a certain way that goes to a certain direction. Whether you're told by Joe Mwangi at 26 or you're told by an old man at 99, it is the same thing. If a child tells you that if you throw a fruit up, it will come down, and a man of 190 years tells you it's a truth, even if you know it yourself, it will be a truth.
Truth is truth.
Truth is truth.
This is a conversation that I think will take forever, and we'd want to see how strongly you sweep your front and transition that agenda to other people's fronts. At Ooro Africa now, we'll take the responsibility to sweep our front. By inviting you, we've done a bit of that, but of course there's going to be another opportunity for another conversation. It's Monday. I hope you've been inspired. Pick up your broom, take up the courage, decide what kind of vision you want to create for yourself now and for the future. Sweep your front, take ownership, and have a great week. From the team here at Ooro Africa and myself, enjoy the rest of your viewing.